Wow, what an incredible day. I feel so honoured to be here and be part of this. Obviously, I'm not from Darwin. The woman that served me coffee this morning pointed that out, and I was like, "How'd you know?" He's like, "You're wearing a jacket." But she thought I was from Sydney. I'm actually from Queensland. You can tell because I didn't iron my sleeves, so that's how you tell a person. So for me, these stories, I had prepared something today, but these stories that I've heard have really resonated with me in just this most incredible point in my life. And I don't want to do what I was going to talk about. I want to talk about something else because it relates to what I want to talk about, but it's put in a better way. And I guess I want to start, Shakespeare has this saying in Hamlet. He said, it's nothing like the Rocky monologue. Shakespeare has this saying that, there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And I think Shakespeare's wrong. I mean, of course, who am I to say that he's wrong? But I think there are good and bad experiences in life. We experience these things that make us who we are. There's been stories today that have just pierced me in the heart to hear, to feel what that's like, experiencing members of our family with cancer and hearing that story of what that's like, experiencing that feeling of just complete vulnerability in a moment. And for me, that's what life's about. It's being able to take the good times and those difficult times and turn them into the love and poetry that we all have. And I say love and poetry because I saw a lecturer down in New Zealand, and he said he was talking about depression. It was a conference on depression, a topic that I'm really interested in. And he was talking about depression, and then halfway through his presentation, he started swapping out the word depression with love and poetry. And we were like, what the hell is he doing? This is a real conference. This guy's lost it. And he's explained it at the end, and he said, that's where all the best rock songs come from. That's where all the inspiration that we have for the art. And missing out on that is something that is a tragedy. Now, I run an organisation called Hello Sunday Morning, and what we do is help people take a break from drinking. And I think the real reason that we have a drinking culture in this country and around the world is because we're afraid of experiencing a lot of life, and we miss out on it. In 2008, I started this whole process in Brisbane. I was working in advertising. I was 21 at the time. I was ambitious and hungry, and I just remember I was in Brisbane, and it was this chirpy, beautiful day, and I was lying there in bed just with the worst hangover you could possibly imagine, the kind of hangover that you want to go away quickly and take the day with it. And I was lying there thinking, man, there must be something more to this. And I look back on my life, and my life was all about alcohol in some way. I couldn't remember the weekend, 1 year, 2 years before, where I wasn't hungover, where I didn't lose that time. And if I look back on my career, it's always been about selling alcohol in some way. When I was 14, I was bottling alcohol as home brew. I probably shouldn't get this on camera, but I was buying home brew from friends of mine and then selling it at the boarding school. I've always been quite entrepreneurial in that way. And as awkward 15-year-olds, that having a drug to help us deal with our insecurities I was getting 200, 300% markup. So I had that experience, and that graduated me into when I was 17, 18, 19, 20, and I worked as a nightclub promoter. I did events when I was 17, and then from 18 right through to 20. And I was working for an organisation, and my job was to sell as much alcohol as I possibly could. I worked as a nightclub promoter, and I worked for this organisation, and we used to have a capacity of 2,100 people, and there'd be lines far out the front to come in, And I knew that each person in that line would spend $50 at least on alcohol. We'd make hundreds of thousands of dollars a night. And that inspired this thought of me that, it always sort of rattled around. Man, we really value alcohol quite a lot in our lives. And that carried with me right through to my job in advertising. And to that point, in 2008, when I was sort of questioning what I wanted to do with my life. You see, drinking is one of those things that it seems to take up a lot of our life, especially in countries like ours, in New Zealand and the UK. If you drink in the way that I did after work, maybe 2 hours a night, that's 5 hours during the week. 10 hours during the week, and then on the weekends, maybe you do another 5 hours on a Saturday night, and then the 5-hour hangover in the morning. That's 20 hours a week. And I worked it out, from the age of 18 right through to 28. That's 10,000 hours. And 10,000 hours is enough to be an expert in any field. And I was questioning myself when I was 21, what do I really want to be an expert at? Do I want to look back on my life and know that I've been successful at making money, but I'd convinced all these people to spend all their time and money on something that really wasn't for me? And I had this kind of epiphanic moment, and I was like, actually, I don't really want to do that. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to, change my life. And then I got this text message from my friend, and I was like really excited. And he's like, do you want to come to a Sunday session? I was like, okay. And I forgot about it. I buried that thought a little while down the track. And then I went home and told my parents about how I was thinking about, my life and my decisions, and my mum and stepdad and about that family, and they're all really supportive. And my godfather said to me in the most poignant moments, he said, Chris, you're a smart guy, you're handsome, I'm making these up. You're a smart guy, you can do whatever you want, and you can either spend those skills blowing smoke and mirrors, or you can do something that's going to make a difference. And it just hit me, like the stories that I've heard today have really hit me. And I was like, you know what, that's what I want to do. I'm ready for it, I'm going to give it a go. So I decided that the best way for me to start the change that I wanted to create was to not drink for a year and see what happened. See what happened with my time, with my mind, see how valuable alcohol was in my life. And it was a huge decision, but one that would change it in the best possible way. So I commenced the year. None of my friends and family thought I would do it. I commenced it on the 1st of January. And the reason they didn't think I was going to do it is because I kept drinking right up till 4 a.m. and they didn't think I'd quite commit to it. But the way I committed to it was to write a blog about it. And I told my friends and family this is what I was going to do, and it's going to be my year of sobriety, and I'm going to have some really great experiences. And my boss at the time said, what do you want to get out of it? Why are you doing it really? It's kind of annoying. And I said, you know what? I want to see what Sunday morning's like. And so the blog became known as Hello Sunday Morning. And I'd share these experiences every week. And what I came to learn was that this experience in life in its full capacity is the most important thing that we can possibly do. And I learned 3 things from my year. The first thing is that when you take away the crutch, you've got to learn to walk. And alcohol in our society and the way we drink is where we are taught that this is how you deal with life. This is what you need in most situations. And we never get the experience of complete awkwardness when you go out. You never get to experience the brutality of rejection from the girls when you walk up to them in a nightclub. And these are the moments that you actually get to feel, or the breakups that you go through, because we buffer the experience itself. The second thing that I got from that year is that, you can't measure confidence in standing servings. And this is a misnomer. I was peddling since the age of 14 that you should drink this and you'll be confident, and have ever since, right up until the age of 21. And it wasn't until and when I first started going out, my year, I was, didn't know where to put my hands, and it was awkward, and didn't know, because I'd never socialized without having drinking something and sort of numbing out a little bit. And so it was this incredibly confronting experience. But by the end of the year, I remember going out to, I'd make sure that I went out most weekends, and I went out to this nightclub, and it was like this heavy bass sort of nightclub, and I kind of liked the novelty of it all, and I was enjoying myself and having a good time, and I was standing there and I was sort of sick of the waters and the Cokes and, you know, all the things that you normally end up drinking when you're not drinking alcohol, because there's really not that much to offer. And I was like, you know what, I'll have one of those teas you've got there. Obviously, they're a day trader. And he's like, all right, sure. So, and picture me sort of standing on this heavy base, sort of just drinking a tea, enjoying that process. I'm like, this is what confidence is. Like, this is the ability to really be who you want to be. And that's the truth, you know. We're sold that you can't, you know, you need alcohol, you need drugs or whatever it is to be confident in yourself. But, you know, how much confidence can you measure in one beer or one wine? You know, 100 confidences, negative 56. There's no amount, you know, because it's mind-made. And that was one of the biggest, greatest things I got out of it. And lastly, the thing that is what makes Hello Sunday Morning it today is that we are able to impact the lives of people around us. And that grew, it started just my 1 year experiment, but by the end of the year, 5 other people wanted to do it and, you know, go their own 3 months, 6 months, whatever they wanted to do to have this experience for themselves. And then a year later, there was 150. A year after that, 1,500. And this year, we've hit 5,000 people that are all registered and taking on this break. Now, I want to change the world's relationship with alcohol. And who thinks that's a crazy idea? Good, come to the right place. So this is what I want to do. This is my dream, my passion, the thing that I've always wanted to achieve. And in this room, there's a couple of people that have actually signed up and given it a go, and that is perpetually inspiring for me because I can actually see the difference that just one little idea, one little change can make. So lastly, I think the most important thing that I want to leave with you is 2 things. One is to embrace the entirety of life, from the difficult situations, the bad experiences, because that's what gives you the love and poetry. And the second thing is, if you have an idea or a change you want to make, you can do it, because I've certainly started with nothing and created something that's quite magnificent to see flourish, and it's possible. Thank you.